you long for the day when you can kick back, relax, and enjoy your golden years? Do you envision yourself in a comfortable chair by the hearth, reading to your grandchildren? The majority of people in this generation will never be able to retire, so that dream will remain just that. Let us explain. Welcome to the opulent. To comprehend why you'll never be able to retire and why this is such a taboo subject, we must first go back in time. In order to assist the elderly and eliminate poverty, Otto von Bismarck, Chancellor of Germany in the late 1800s, launched the country's first retirement program. He understood that when people aged, they were frequently unable to continue working and required financial assistance. Hence, by developing a pension program, Bismarck intended to give this assistance and enhance the quality of life for the aged. However, here's the thing. Elderly folks in the 1800s were those aged 40 to 45. The average life expectancy at the time was 70, and the retirement plan began when you reached that age. So, it is reasonable to suppose that Bismarck's program maintenance costs were significantly lower than those of the vast majority of people. Well, they didn't even come close to benefiting from it, but the notion nonetheless went global. Social Security was established in the United States in 1935 to offer financial assistance to the aged, disabled, and widowed. Several adjustments were made to accommodate the modern world, and retirement became an entire industry. It was considered a reward for a lifetime of effort. This was the world in which your grandparents were raised. They had it all going for them. Substantial economic expansion. In comparison to the expense of living, the salaries of a great number of individuals during this time period increased dramatically. Pension programs sponsored by an employer. Once retirement became its own business, many people had access to employer-sponsored programs that ensured a steady income in retirement. Cheap real estate. The value of real estate began to surge once the majority of baby boomers invested in the stock market. They also benefited from the expansion of the stock market, as many of them invested in stocks, bonds, and other financial assets that provided long-term profits. These are the reasons why baby boomers reside in multi-million-dollar homes. In the 1970s, they made do on a busboy's salary. This is also the origin of your troubles, and the reason why the vast majority of you will never be able to retire. For your parents and grandparents, retirement was a question of when. For you, the question is how. They didn't have to ask how since it was given to them by default. But you not only have none of the prerequisites that they did, but you have the exact reverse. Let's begin by discussing the expense of living. Hence, the ratio of the cost of living to the average pay has changed significantly during the 1970s. In the past, life was somewhat simpler and individuals had more money to spend on enjoyable activities. In the 1970s, a home could be purchased for approximately $30,000, while the typical salary was $15,000. So people had a lot of extra money to spend on trendy clothing. But now, the situation is quite different. Homes cost approximately $300,000, although the average annual pay is only about $60. This indicates that more money is being spent on necessities such as housing, healthcare, and leisure. The ratio has significantly increased. In other words, you need to be twice as wealthy as the typical working person in order to live as comfortably as your parents did. Today, the increase in the cost of living greatly outpaces the increase in the average earnings. Thus, no robust economic growth and no real estate for you. What about pension plans sponsored by employers? People relied on their employment to help them save for retirement in the past. These programs were known as defined benefit plans, and they were extremely important. But now circumstances, and these plans have changed, are not as good as they once were. Initially, a significant number of businesses are opting for defined contribution plans, a new sort of retirement plan. Hence, instead of the employer contributing to your retirement funds, you must save on your own. In other words, only you can save your own sorry rear end. Also, An increasing number of people are working as freelancers or contract workers who typically do not receive retirement benefits, making it more difficult for them to invest for their golden years. And lastly, as people live longer, it becomes more expensive for businesses to pay out retirement benefits. All of this makes it more difficult for these initiatives to endure. In general, defined benefit plans are not as advantageous as they formerly were. Hence, neither your government nor your job can provide for you. Which brings us to the issue of why the majority of people will be unable to retire. They view retirement in the same manner as their parents and grandparents. They believe that it will be a period of leisure as they reap the rewards of a lifetime of labor, but they are mistaken. We inhabit an entirely different reality. The world and the way we do things have changed significantly. As a society, we have also evolved. A 30-year-old man in the 1970s was barbecuing in his own garden with his wife and 2 children. A 30-year-old man posts his daily attire on Instagram. Parents' basement. We do not intend to criticize social media trends. We are merely stating that life appears different now, but that reality will soon set in. So, if you are in this circumstance, what should you do? Now, the first thing you must do is acknowledge that you are solely responsible for your own well-being. You are alone accountable for the shape of your financial future. No one but yourself can ensure that you genuinely get to enjoy life and not just tolerate it. You can blame the system, the government, the politicians, the wealthy, or anyone else you want. And you may be correct in certain circumstances, but that does not alter the truth. It will just make you bitter. Therefore, you must adapt and learn how to navigate the new reality. The second realization you must make is that all terrible news is accompanied with good news. For starters, you have access to all of humankind's knowledge and discoveries to date. Everything that humanity has figured out collectively thus far is accessible with 2 clicks or less. So there is no justification for your financial ignorance. You may argue that school or your parents did not teach you about taxes or retirement plans, but there is nothing preventing you from doing it now. You cannot traverse the new world if you do not understand its structure. Second, you currently have unfettered access to the international marketplace. There are more options available to you now than in the past and in the past. You must realize that planning for your financial future is not exclusive to businesses or people with means and opportunities. It should be for everyone, as it is for everyone. It is your responsibility to care for your future self. To be financially independent, you need not be on the cover of Forbes. Instead, only 3 items are required: knowledge and performance. Intent means your desire to change your situation. Do you desire to take charge of your future, or would you rather allow the cosmos determine your fate? Many are content with their circumstances and have faith that things will improve with time, or they avoid reality. For instance, we told you that AI will alter the status quo and that many people, even technical professionals, will lose their jobs. You didn't believe it. You stated that it is hard for firms to suddenly lay off hundreds of thousands of employees. We'll ask you to monitor the news because something is occurring. Hence, you must choose to have complete control over your future. Then you require knowledge, which entails understanding how the world functions and your place in it. How can you make your situation work to your advantage? This is a somewhat large topic that requires its own video. In conclusion, you must execute, which entails putting in the hours, showing up, being consistent and unrelenting. And these are tasks that the majority of people dislike performing. And these individuals will suffer the most when reality strikes and no one is there to care for them. So, do you intend to construct your own future? If you found this video helpful, please put "my own future" in the comments section, and we'll determine who wants to take things seriously. Also, please subscribe to Luxe Mindset. See you in the next video.